The day's done. The week is done. Now, what do I do tomorrow? I know what I want to do. I want to drive out to Bombay Beach, out at the Salton Sea, and have a look-see. Determine if I want to stay there over the summer next year. But is that a good idea? A couple of factors. One is that I'd have a better opportunity to do it next week. I'm gonna spend the day with my nephew next week. It's probably the better thing to do. You know, it really helps to talk out loud about these things, because I've had that thought several times, and I've just allowed the thought to kind of just float away. But in fact, that would be the smarter thing to do. I could combine the outing with Parker with the effort to have a look at Bombay Beach. But that doesn't address the fact that I need to get my bike ready. You know, it does. It does. What I need, the other thing I need to do is get my motorcycle listed. Motorcycle? I thought you got rid of your bike, Kurt. Well, turns out that things are slow, so I brought it back. I didn't want Lior to have to hold on to it if it wasn't selling. So it's here again. I still need to sell it. I'm not in any particular hurry. I rented a spot at the apartment to hold the bike, and I can keep it there. But it really would be good to get rid of it, list it. So maybe what I'll do tomorrow, instead of riding the motorcycle out to the Salton Sea, I'll hold off till next week, do that with Parker. It's a good idea. Then, tomorrow, I'll wake up, I'll detail the bike, I'll take it for a ride, and I'll do the photographs, then I'll list it on various and sundry places. I'll have one goal for tomorrow, two goals for tomorrow. One is to ship the book for Andy. 3 goals for tomorrow. To ship the book for Andy. 2 is to finish this, to ride the bike so I can keep the battery charged, clean the bike, detail it, and get it ready for listing. And that means getting some really good photos after I detail it. So I'll combine it. In the morning, I'll wake up. I'll wake up, do all my morning stuff. I'll detail Gary's book. I'll finish Gary's book, the illustrations. Have that all ready to go. Then I'll, as soon as the sun's warm enough, I'll go out and get the bike detailed, cleaned up. Where should I ride to for the photos? Good to get a pretty good long ride. Not too far. I don't want to ride. Where should I ride to? I don't want to ride anywhere. Let's see. Oh, I could ride to Diamond Bar. That's a good idea. because that's another place that I'm thinking about living. Or I could pick someplace else off of the list of potential places and go right to there. Check it out, and then come back, get the photos wherever that is, and then come back and work on the listing. That would be a good use of the day. Okay, let's go over this again. I think I've got this figured out. I am not going to go to the Salton Sea tomorrow. I'm going to save that adventure for the following week, and I'll do that with my nephew Parker. He can experience the Salton Sea and help me do a pick. Wow, look at the waves. The wind is mellow today. Very, very gentle. Look at that guy. Oh, and he's down. Did his board keep going? It's a nice day. Good thing I brought a book. Okay, let me refresh this again. So I'll wake up in the morning tomorrow. Tonight, an average night. Get home, go for a dog walk with my wife, have a glass of wine while Yumiko makes dinner. Over dinner, she and I will enjoy a show together. I'll do the dishes, and then I'll go to sleep. And they get a good night's sleep. I'll wake up at 4 a.m., do the read my poem, read a poem, do the good life meditation, all the normal morning activities. It's a day off. So then I will finish illustrating Gary's book and get that packed and shipped and ready to go. Ready to go. I can either work on my YouTube channel stuff. I have work to do until the sun is warm enough. Then I'll head out. Where I'm gonna go, that's the thing. I could go to Diamond Bar, but blah, it's interesting. I'll see if I can find someplace interesting later to go look. I'll double it up. I'll look at the community for my very first place to live in after Emily and Miko leave. Maybe I should go to the Ventura area or even Santa Barbara. Expensive though for a month. It's an idea though. And then from there, okay, I'll figure that out. That'll be the logistical thing. Once the sun's warm enough, I'll get up and I'll go out. I'll get the bike. The bike's already in a nice position. I'll detail the bike, get it really looking good. Then I'll go for a ride and do the photographs. Then once I have the photos in hand, I'm in good position to go from there. And then when that's done, the day will be done at that point. And then from there, I can come home. The day will be done. Yeah. Let's take a look. That looks nice. A couple of kids playing in the water right there. Surfer headed out. A fisherman right over there. I don't think that water can get up high enough. I think we're good. I'm a little disappointed in myself. I had a couple pieces of chocolate. Altogether, maybe 6 of those little pieces of chocolate today over the course of the day. And I really feel that normally I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. Ugh. Makes me feel a little gross. Definitely not worth it. Did it mostly because it feels like an indulgence that's worthwhile after Halloween. But really, I should explore such things on their merits, not on their propriety. That's a good distinction, if I do say so myself. Okay. Oh, nice way. Okay, now it's time to do my exercise and get a swim in. Let's do it. title author. Who he's conversing with, I don't know. Question. How would you explain the ongoing interest amongst both scholars and general readers in Johnson and Boswell? What drew you to write about the making of Boswell's book? The simple answer is that the two are perennially fascinating. Hundreds of books have been written about them, yet there is always more to say, as I hope I have demonstrated. The recent discovery of Boswell's papers, his letters, manuscripts, and his extraordinary journals has proved a goldmine for scholars and led to a complete reassessment of his work. He is now recognized as a writer of great skill, even genius, very different from the fool who merely copied down what people said. The image that prevailed for the first 150 years or so after his death. I was first drawn to the subject after writing a biography of the historian A.J.P. Taylor, himself a biographer, in the process of which I became interested in biography itself. This led me on to Boswell's The Life of Johnson, the first and arguably the greatest of all biographies. And the more I learned about Boswell and Johnson, the more I wanted to know about these two unlikely friends. As A.J.P. Taylor once said, when I want to find out about something, what would you describe as, how would you describe Boswell's influence on biography? Has this influence been entirely positive? It's hard to assess Boswell's influence. Undoubtedly, his book was a landmark, a new species of biography, as one contemporary called it. He set a new standard of verisimilitude. There was no school of Boswell. His work stands alone. More generally, I argue in my book that Boswell Johnson was a moral and intellectual hero who inspired the young romantic poets and who continues to inspire readers to this day, especially I think in the United States. Hear, hear. 3. How would you respond to those who, like Donald Green, feel that Boswell's reputation has grown so much that it overshadows Johnson's? How would you answer Green's charge that Boswell's apparent hero worship of Johnson is a mask disguising from himself and others an unconscious wish to cut Johnson down to size and establish in the end the superiority of Boswell? Green's charge seems to me a perverse misreading. Far from wishing to cut Johnson down to size in his book, Boswell went to extraordinary lengths to defend him against what he saw as unfair criticism. For example, from Mrs. P.O. I think it's quite clear that revered Johnson. I argue in my book that Boswell found it profoundly reassuring, indeed psychologically necessary, to assert Johnson's superiority. I do agree with that there is a regrettable modern tendency to praise Boswell at Johnson's expense. But if Boswell's reputation now overshadows Johnson's, that is not his fault. Indeed, Boswell would have been horrified at the prospect. 4. You describe in great detail Boswell's method in writing The Life of Johnson. Tell us something about your own way of working on Boswell's presumptuous task. I can't claim that my own way of working was as colorful as Boswell's, but there are certain similarities. Like him, I live in the countryside, but am repeatedly drawn to the city. Like him, I was distracted by domestic concerns and by the need to pursue another career to provide essential income, so that there were periods of a year or more where I did no writing at all. And like him, I was plagued by anxieties of various kinds, including the fear that I might be scooped by a competitor. I see now that these were misplaced, but I think such anxieties are common, perhaps universal in writers. 5. What is your sense of the state of the art of biography now? Are there any recent literary biographies that approach the mastery of Boswell's The Life of Samuel Johnson? Right now, biography is going through an interesting stage as biographers experiment with the form in playful and sometimes outlandish ways. Meanwhile, fine biographers of the more conventional type are published every year. Michael Holroyd has described this as the golden age of biography, though I see that he has also said recently that biography is dead. But there is no biography, recent or otherwise, comparable to the life of Samuel Johnson. As I write in the concluding sentence of my book, never again will there be such a combination of subject, author, and opportunity. Six, would you agree with Carlyle's claim that Boswell's The Life of Samuel Johnson is a book beyond any other product of the 18th century? No. How can you compare works as different as, say, Tristram Shandy and The Life of Samuel Johnson? I don't think it's profitable to rate books in this way. But I am sure that The Life of Samuel Johnson is a masterpiece, one of the outstanding books of its own or any century, a work that continues to delight and enrich readers more than 200 years after it was written. 7. You argue that Boswell was a kind of pre-Freudian, the first biographer to attempt to tell the whole truth about his subject, to portray his lapses, his blemishes, and his weaknesses, as well as his great qualities, an aim we take for granted today. But in Boswell's time, a startling innovation. What prompted Boswell to take such an unprecedented approach and to persist in it? Why did he feel a similar need to expose himself so completely in his journals? The prompt was Johnson himself, who in a famous essay on biography criticized the then prevalent view that the faults of the dead should be suppressed or glossed over. On the contrary, if nothing but the bright side of character, this is quoting Johnson, if nothing but the bright side of character should be shown, we should sit down in despondency and think it utterly impossible to imitate them in anything. Boswell quoted from this essay in his preamble to The Life of Samuel Johnson. Early in their friendship, Johnson encouraged Boswell to write a journal, but as Boswell then revealed, he was already doing so. One can only speculate on Boswell's motives for keeping such a frank and potentially damaging journal. He certainly believed that the act of writing regularly was beneficial in itself, that's for sure. He claimed that reading in the journal would enable him to monitor and thus improve his own behavior, and also that it might serve as a store of entertainment for my afterlife, perhaps contradictory ambitions. Boswell was anxious that his journal might be used against him, but he was haunted by a morbid fear of effervescence and a sense that his life meant nothing unless it were recorded. He had to be completely, not effervescence, evanescence. He had to be completely open in his journals because he used them as a means of exploring his own thoughts and feelings. Maybe only a man with such a combination of vanity and naivete could have written so openly about himself. And then there's a section here of questions for discussion. I finished it. And what a marvelous book it was. It took me a long time to read it. Oh, Angela's here too. It was very good. I really did enjoy this. I feel like I have a big... Okay, now that I'm done with it, A Billion Wicked Thoughts. This is by Ogi Ogas and Sai Gautam. Steven Pinker says that it's a gold mine. It's the book on sex. Let's read the back. Want to know what really turns your partner on? A Billion Wicked Thoughts offers the clearest picture ever of the differences between male and female sexuality and the teeming diversity of human desire. What makes men attracted to images and so predictable in their appetites? What makes the setup to a romantic evening so important for a woman? Why are women's desires so hard to predict? Neuroscientists Ogi Ogas and Sai Gautam reveal the mechanisms of sexual relationships based on their extensive research into the mountains of new data on human behavior available in online entertainment and traffic around the world. Not since Alfred Kinsey in the 1950s has there been such a revolution in our knowledge of what is really going on in the bedroom. What Ogus and Gautam learned and how they and now share will deepen and enrich the way you and your partner think and talk about sex. So apparently this book is a result of researchers compiling information from Google. Felt a little like a bee sting. From Google, from Google searches, and then compiling that into some sort of research. So I don't really know. Let's dive in, shall we? Should be fun. Forward. My first encounter with one of the authors of this book, Ogi Ogus, was about a year ago. True to the online nature of the research he was doing for this book, I heard from him via email. Ogi had read a book on sexuality called Warrior Lovers that I wrote a few years ago, along with Don Simmons. In it, we used slash stories about heterosexual male fictional characters who fall in love, such as Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock, or Clark Kent and Lex Luthor, revealing an unexpected yet telling aspect of female desire. Slash is, in a sense, the ultimate romance for its female readers, one in which there is no doubt at the end of the tale that these heroes have found their soulmates. Ogi wanted to know if I had any new work to tell him about. To be honest, I was a bit surprised by the initial email. Most conversations I have about Slash are with other women, but it soon became clear that Ogi was interested not only in Slash. I don't know what Slash is. I mean, they said it right here, but I still don't understand it. Slash, which are stories about heterosexual male fictional characters who fall in love. Okay. Most conversations I have about Slash are with other women, but it soon became clear that Ogi was interested not only in Slash, but in the bigger picture of human sexuality that can be found in the vast world of the internet. There's a lot of truth to the belief that if you can imagine it, you can find it as internet porn. The initial email was the beginning of a long and lively conversation about the next nature of sexual desire. But this book does far more than just show how wild and woolly online porn can be. It opens your eyes to the sexual desires of millions of people, and it does so in a unique and valuable way. So much research on sexuality relies on surveys and questionnaires that ask people to reveal secrets that they aren't comfortable sharing, least of all with a researcher who will do who knows what with the information. There's a real advantage in finding other methods of insight into our desires, unobtrusive measures that don't require people to actively participate in the process of data collection. Just as Don and I demonstrated with Giogas and Sai Gautam studied digital footprints on the internet to illuminate our understanding of the stark differences between the desires of males and females. The most startling insights often come from the most unexpected sources. The author's academic background, for instance, is hardly typical for the authors of a book on sex. Ogi and Sai were classmates in graduate school, and their PhDs are from the departments of cognitive and neural systems at Boston University. Most cognitive neuroscience researchers, if you hadn't already guessed, aren't doing research on porn. But Ogi and Sai's computational neuroscience background led them to ask novel questions such as, how does the brain software that generates sexual desires and arousal actually work? No one in their field was thinking that way. It led them to not only led them to not only use the internet as a source of data, their data mining approach was one of their mathematical background made them uniquely suited to, but also to the adaptationist approach to human sexual behavior. This approach views male and female sexuality through functional lenses as the products of differing selection pressures or problems that males and females had to face or solve over evolutionary time. The adaptationist perspective has been incredibly fruitful, particularly in the area of female sexuality. Historically, there have been a number of challenges to studying female desire and sexual behavior. There have been times when it wasn't considered appropriate for a doctor to even look at his female patient's genitals. For male researchers to ask women about their sexual desires and behaviors was simply not acceptable. Even today, a female sex researcher will have a much easier time in terms of how both participants and others view her and her work. So the study of female sexuality has languished behind that of males, especially back in the day when most scientists and researchers were male. It was often only considered legitimate to study female sexuality if you were trying to help women become pregnant. The rise of the adaptationist perspective, led by both male and female researchers, has focused attention on questions surrounding the female choice of partners and how such choices would have resulted in greater reproductive success in the past. This research has led to discoveries about female mate preferences, the role of hormones in the ovulatory cycle in female sexuality, and the function of female orgasm. Without an adaptationist perspective, it's unlikely anyone would have designed a study to look at how well exotic dancers are tipped according to their ovulatory cycle. That's interesting, I think. The fact that tips are higher when dancers are more fertile tells us something about both female desirability and behavior during ovulation and how attractive this is to males. What? I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? But who would have thought to ask that question? The adaptationist approach was also the crucial tool Olgi and Sai used to unlock their exhaustive internet data. They did so elegantly and eloquently. This book provides a refreshing look at the big picture of human sexuality, informed by the ultimate unobtrusive source of data, the internet. And regardless of your background, you're in for a treat. You will learn about the endless variety of kinks and squicks. What? Kinks that you find gross as opposed to a turn on. Never heard that word before. Squick. That people have. You will also learn about the essential male and female sexual psychologies, as illustrated by Elmer Fudd, the trigger-happy hunter, who sees what he wants, aims and fires, and then does it all over again. And the Miss Marple Detective Agency, the female software for figuring out if this guy is the right one. If that hasn't convinced you that you need the insight that these authors have to offer, there's also the importance of the magic hoo-hoo, critical to all romance novels, part of the female desire to be sexually irresistible. Magic hoo-hoo, huh? Part of the female desire to be sexually irresistible. Huh. And all that we can learn from watching gay porn, which is amazingly different from Slash, considering both are about guy-on-guy action. They're both about guy-on-guy action. If you want answers to pretty much anything you need to know about sexual desire, this is the book for you. Catherine Solomon, co-author of Warrior Lovers, Erotic Fiction, Evolution, and Female Sexuality and the Secret Power of Middle Children. Huh. Okay, well, tomorrow we'll start on the preface, the world's largest behavioral experiment. But now I think I'll do my stretching and all the rest. just review the plan for tomorrow. Get up at 4, do my usual good life, read my poem, good life meditation, Bible study, edit a page of Freeway Bible Study, the book. Then I'll do my uploads, write my blog post, then do my uploads. Then I'll feed my dogs. Then from there, I'll have a look at the candidate places, and I'll maybe pick some place that I can ride my motorcycle to tomorrow, to check out. Someplace, a candidate community where I might live in the Airbnb. We'll go from there. Hi, doggy. Hi. Hi. Then we'll go from there. Well, then I'll pick the place. Then when the sun comes up far enough, I'll clean the motorcycle, and then I'll go out and get the bike on the trip. Get the photos I need to list it. Come home and spend the evening with my wife. I think Wabi-Sabi relates to balance because the change and unexpected tends to make us off kilter, a little wobbly. And adjusting to that and trying to keep our balance and being all right with being off balance at times. It's part of the philosophical approach. Wabi-Sabi is balance. Or maybe the attempted balance. Doesn't balance imply imbalance? Right? Because balance is the state of keeping upright in spite of change. That works. Squirrel in the tree. Good. I see a comment. Good afternoon, Kurt. From the other side of the Pacific and a day ahead. Nice day of it. Oh, hi. Andrew Gozaru 74. Thank you. Okay, I'll stop for now. It's beeping all over the place. Wish you all the best. Make it a wabi-sabi. We'll try to keep our balance despite the wabi-sabi.